trading day. It's 2 p.m. in Sydney and Melbourne. Let's go straight to boards because you've just joined us, we have of course had that Bank of Japan meeting where we did see them ease monetary policy in terms of ETF purchases, which have been increased as mentioned. They'll be buying the balance of its holdings rising at an annual pace of 6 trillion yen versus the 3.3 trillion yen previously. So an increase in that, but pretty much overall everything else remained the same. And Chris Weston from IG was just telling us a bit of a disappointment really for them, and interesting to look at where the markets have been heading. That's our market, of course, down just 0.1%, not much of a movement, just down by about 5 points off the back of that decision. But also looking at the Nikkei, and which has been a very interesting move. We did see it initially sort of rise, then fall, and then rise again, and now it's back down about 12 points. So we've seen huge volatility off the back of that decision, of course, as investors really digest what it means from policy in Japan and the Japanese economy as well, in particular that inflation target, which they say they will have trouble probably meeting that 2% target, of course, that they're trying to reach in 2018. So very interesting moves in the yen as well. We did see the yen rally, of course, which is unfortunate for Japan because, of course, we do know they want to bring that currency down, but haven't yet been successful in that. Certainly today did nothing to help alleviate those strong moves. But switching gears for a moment, because just in the past week, New South Wales became the first state in Australia to gain approval to grow cannabis under licence from the federal government as part of research into the best way to use the plant for medicinal use. So it paves the way for pharmaceutical supply of cannabis-based medicines made in Australia. It's been a bunch of new commercial businesses hoping to get a piece of the projected $270 billion global market, one being Creso Pharma. It'll be conducting an IPO in August to raise funds, and for more, we're joined by Group CEO and co-founder Dr. Miri, Halperin, Wernli, and Adam Blumenthal, who's also a co-founder and a non-executive director in the business. They join me live in the studio now, and welcome to the show. Both of you, of course. We know the IPO is happening in August, but just want to kick it off with Creso and what you actually do as a business.
Creso Pharma will develop nutraceuticals out of the cannabis plant to be able to give therapeutic options to patients, also for the human market and for the animal market. So we will take the cannabis plant and the ingredients from the cannabis plant and put them in innovative delivery technologies that will enable this plant to enter the human body in a much easier way to get the therapeutic benefits.
There's a lot of obviously stigma attached with medical marijuana, and that's why there's been issues with getting it legalised in certain markets, particularly in Australia. What are the key benefits for it medically to humans in particular? And I guess how do you go about addressing those certain stigmas?
The marijuana plant has a number of compounds which are active compounds. The most famous one is THC, which is psychoactive, and this is the compound that makes you high. But there are many other compounds, there are 80 other compounds who have therapeutic benefit. And Creso will concentrate on CBD, which is the non-psychoactive compound, which has the impact, the therapeutic impact, which will give the therapeutic impact for human and for animals.
All right, so that's part of what differentiates it. And I just want to know, because obviously you've got the IPO in August and you're raising some funds there. What are you planning on raising the funds for? What's the point of the IPO?
So Creso Pharma is raising $5 million at IPO. Majority of that is used for development of the product. Miri, based in Switzerland, has developed IP, which is protected, and through her collaborations with other Swiss pharmaceutical groups, will be enhancing that intellectual property for delivery methods. Creso Pharma also has bought a company called Hemp Industries. They're currently selling hemp drops in Europe with revenues, and our collaboration with them as their owner funding will be used to increase those sales and also look for other opportunities.
So with that, will Europe be the first point of sales for the business?
Europe is currently the first point of sales, and Creso intends to be a global supplier to all legal jurisdictions.
Just before we move on, obviously you mentioned you're targeting pets as well, the veterinary sector. Why is that?
Because animals, many chronic diseases in animals are poorly treated by current therapies, and people give to the animals therapies, human therapies, which are inadequate. And the animals have the same endocannabinoid system that the humans have, and the same therapeutic rationale goes for the animals. So we will target specifically behavioral disorders in animals and also metabolic and immunological disorders in animals.
Obviously it's been a huge market, or it's been a huge projected market, as I mentioned, $270 billion globally. And in Australia it's expected to be worth about $50 billion by 2018. How do you expect to take advantage of that? And I guess take some of the learnings from other places that have already legalised medical marijuana?
Yeah, that's right. So Australia's a unique market, and that's one of the reasons why Creso has decided to list on the ASX. There are two other ASX-listed companies which are in medical marijuana. I think with New South Wales and with Queensland already paving the way to legalise medical marijuana with spending tens of millions of dollars, Creso will be very well positioned to be able to supply the Australian market.
Do you think it's, there's obviously clinical trials in research of medical cannabis in New South Wales and Victoria at the moment. How significant are those medical trials for the industry, and I guess changing sort of stigmas around medical marijuana?
I think the clinical trials are important to get clinical data, but besides the clinical trial, this plant has been used for thousands of years, so the therapeutic value of the plant is known. But what will be specific to Creso is that we bring the pharma expertise into this young industry, and we bring the high drive for technology, for methodology that pharma had for many years into the young medical cannabis industry to try to standardize the therapeutics for the patient.
We've had a couple on the program who are getting involved in this industry over the past 6 to 12 months. And there are these new entrants trying to take advantage of new sort of laws that are coming in. What differentiates your Creso Pharma from the other entrants in the market?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I think firstly from a board level, Miri, who's the managing director, and Boaz, who's our chairman, are both pioneers in the industry. Miri has come from a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical, big pharma background, and she's bringing all her expertise over her career to the business. Boaz, who founded the first Israeli medical marijuana party in Israel, the Green Leaf Party, and has founded several other businesses, have brought together a management team that I think is superior to the other peers. Secondly, there's no company out there at the moment that is targeting the animal and pet market, so that is obviously a massive market. And we're very well positioned to be able to service that.
It's certainly quite unique, targeting the veterinary sector. What's your Miri long-term vision for the business? And when you look at it sort of in 5 to 10 years, as laws change, what's your strategy? What's your long-term vision for the business?
I think the vision would be to develop many therapeutics, both for humans and for animals, but different therapeutics and different therapeutic indications. And the company, as in the long run, can be a company that targets both the animal and the human health for many, many products that can be diversified and increase the choices that the patients will have.
All right, and have you had much interest in the IPO so far?
Yeah, there's been great interest, given that it's the third company on the ASX to offer investors this kind of exposure. So next week, when we'll be accepting applications, we'll notify everyone.
All right, well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time on the program.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dr. Miri, Halperin, Wernli there, and Adam Blumenthal, of course, from Creso Pharma, joining us live in the studio. We do need to take a quick break, but when we return, Julia Lee from Bell Director will be joining us for more analysis on this